Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Ash, who is going to be the next promo character coming to RTS. We have seen her in some of the story roadmaps before, for quite a long time ago actually, before Christmas, but we do see her in game with her very recognizable pink hair. As we see on the right hand side, we can see the visuals. This is the first ever Ash character to come into the game, so it is something brand new. She is kind of punk rock kind of style. I like the get up, looks pretty cool. She is a tough character, obviously holding that rifle, but she has got that machete on the arm just in case she's got any of those close quarter battles. If we look at the left hand side, we can see she's got a unique weapon here, but it isn't part of her kit. So there could be a weapon that comes out in the future that has this like purple kind of look. It does actually look really nice. I like it. And we can see a little bit more in the details where she's got like a very thick chain and padlock around her neck. Very interesting. That would ache after a while, I'm going to be honest. That would really ache after a while. If we look at her details here, we can see the stats as a grade 5 gold mythic at level 600. She has got 15,497 attack, 12,235 defense, and 13,051 HP. Very, very offensive on the stat. She is a tough character, like we said before. Damage dealers by no surprise. She's a mythic character, and her allegiance is a member of the Young Survivors. So she joins characters like Carl and Sophia, and I think maybe Elodie. So I think she's the 4th character in this allegiance. Now, checking out the Adrenaline Rush first is called Unbending Rush. It is a 66 AP cost rush, so kind of normal for an attack team character, what you would consider a damage dealer anyway. Deal 2 attacks of 250% damage, which is 500% total to one enemy. This character gets 80% impair resistance for 4 turns. So her kit is kind of reminiscent of a lot of tough characters in terms of the multi-hits. You know, we had Priya in the S-Class era. We've got Princess right now in the Mythic era. The difference between her and Princess is she will 100% attack the same character twice with this rush, whereas Princess will do 1 attack and then will just go to a random other character with the rush. So it's a bit more random, and her hits are harder. Ash will hit for 250% per hit, and I believe that Princess hits for 200% per hit, so it's a little bit harder in that case. This character getting 80% impair resistance for 4 turns is obviously nice. This does not stack with mods. This does not stack with any other sources. It kind of works like the Axel leader skill from the S-Class era, where if it wasn't the S-Class version of that character and it was like the 50% on, I think, the 6-star, that did not stack with mods. It's just whichever one's highest. So if you had a mod at 85%, the mod would be the one that actually took precedent, and this impair would just do nothing. So basically it's not worth doing impair resistance on a character like this, and you could just see this as a bonus, and 80% is definitely quite high. Now we're going to test out the rush just to see what happens, but I think we all know how it's going to go. Okay, so we are on the rush turn for Ash here, and we are going to select Dr. Stevens, and we are going to hit him. If both attacks need to come through, they will. The first attack comes in, and the second attack goes to a secondary character, as you could see. Nearly took both of them out. You might notice, obviously, that with that takedown, something else came into play based on the rest of her kit, but you can also see the 80% resistance to impair as a buff now that she has on her. Like I said, whichever one is higher, the mod or this will run as precedent, so there's no need for that impair resist mod like I said before. So the rush has the potential to obviously hit pretty hard. If I would have put a double attack rampage weapon in there, obviously it would have had the possibility of hitting double attacks on each of those separate attacks, and also rampaging with those crits. So definitely a way to go to amplify the damage to the entire team that you're going to do. If we look at the actual upgrades, at grade 4 she gets a 50% damage per attack bonus, and also 20% impair resistance bonus. You will have to use military supplies for this first one at grade 4. However, at limit break, you also get a 20% impair resistance for free. As long as you limit break the character, you're just going to get that bonus. So potentially you could decide not to do the military supplies on this character, at least initially, and you would be able to just get the free 20% at the limit break and come back to the other 20% later on, and it would just sit at 60%. Obviously, it's up to you. If you are going to use one of these heavy damage dealers as a cornerstone of your attack teams, it's generally just best to get the best out of them as you can. So military supplies upgrades is generally the best way to go. But I would maybe focus on other things in that kit. As a damage dealer, she's definitely going to have an agility, which is very, very important for these multi-hit characters. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves and move on to those passives, we will check out the signature move, and it is called Focused Strike. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 2 and a cooldown of 1 turn. That means, obviously, on an attack team, she'll be able to get off in the first 2 turns to give herself 65 AP by turn 3. She would need an 8% weapon. As always, I'm going to just always say this, but you guys know she's going to need an 8% weapon from somewhere, or she could have a 20% AP weapon to self, and she's going to be able to get her natural turn 3 rush. The number of uses for this one is unlimited. It is an attacking an enemy for 250% damage. This character gets focused for 2 turns. Now, that is quite a hefty hit, 250%. It is the same as one of her individual hits on her rush, so that it can hit very hard. It can also crit. It can also rampage if you do have a rampage weapon in her hands, and I do think that will be working great, basically. And I will test her out with a rampage weapon in the next clip. But this is kind of just normal. This is a heavy hit, but she is getting a self buff. This is going to stop her from being able to get taunted and confused, and the fact that she's getting impair resistance when she rushes, she's kind of going to be quite immune to heavy amounts of control. This does also mean she does have the potential to bypass any future human shields if any do come out, but it is only going to last for 2 turns, and the turn she actually does it is one of those 2 turns. But the next turn, when she does her rush, she's going to be able to do it that turn, and she's going to have focus that turn as well, so she won't be able to be taunted, confused, or have any shield malarkey in that turn as well, which is going to be the bonus. Okay, so we are on turn 2, and we can obviously team her up with certain characters to get some extra damage out of this, which is where her signature move can go from just a pretty hefty hit into a very, very heavy hit. We can use someone like Aiko. This is what I did in the past test as well. We can do defense down, minus 25% defense. Then we can do the signature move of Ash, and you can see the big hit comes in, but it can also double attack and rampage. And as you can see, those extra attacks do take into account her specialist skill. It isn't just the target that she does, it's also the extras. So potentially even on turn 2 with that signature move, if you get things line up with the double attack, the crit is a bit more in your hands with the rampage, but the double attack is obviously a little bit of RNG there. You can get some great things go your way when it comes to keeping characters down on the defense teams. Now, she also got the focus, of course, so the next turn, if someone did have a confuse, you do have characters with taunt, for instance, like Mercer on defense teams, they have turn 2 single target taunts if they focused her, and they generally will focus someone who's a heavy damage dealer with these things. She will just not be taunted. She'll be under taunt effect, but it won't take place because she has got focus, so she'll still be able to rush naturally on turn 3 as long as she has the AP, which she did in that situation, which was quite nice. If we look at the skill upgrades, at grade 2 she gets the -1 cooldown, which is nice. At grade 3 she gets the 100% damage boost, so it goes from 150% damage to 250%. And then at grade 5, that is obviously the one where you require 2 gold mythics, she'll get 1 more -1 cooldown, which I don't think is actually that important, but I think obviously grade 5ing a damage dealer, the biggest bonus you're going to get is the fact that you're going to be able to get higher attack stat. You're going to limit break the character as well, potentially. And then you're going to get another roll of agility where you can get another 10% boost there. And those are going to be really important. You want to get as much attack stat on your damage dealers as possible. But this will make it so that you can do a basic attack turn 1, a signature move turn 2, rush turn 3, signature move turn 4. So in the first 4 turns, you're going to be getting 2 signature moves off with 250% hits, and then a rush with 2 250% hits. So, and if you've got double attack rampage, there's a lot of potential there for lots of damage. Okay, so now we'll check out Ash's mythic abilities. These are her passives, of course. Now, as a damage dealer, she will get agility. She has got maxed out agility 1, but she has not got maxed out agility 2 because I've only just limit broken the character. I haven't increased it with military supplies, but she will be able to get up to 20% increase in basic attack damage. This will work with her rush, her signature move, and her basic attacks, of course. So big damage boost, and this is one of the biggest impacts from the limit break is multi-hit rushes are going to get a big damage increase. It's just as simple as that. Her second passive is called Unshakable, and this is where she gets yet another resistance, or like an anti-control. She only gets 30%, but it is the stun resistance where she doesn't have any resistance in her kit already. So she's going to get 30% stun resistance on her passive, 80% impair resistance on her rush, and then she's going to get immunity effectively to confuse and taunt once she gets that signature move off. So she's going to be quite hard to control for defense teams, especially on their turn 2, because obviously that's when the signature move comes up. And that means that characters like Mercer, who have taunt on their signature moves themselves, they will be able to attack her, but they won't be able to actually control her. The taunt will not work, it will just do damage, and she'll be able to attack through a taunt. And you could potentially cheese that, where you give her attack while taunted and just get some bonus damage there, but obviously that's up to you and how you want to build your character. The next passive is called Critical Eye, and this is giving 40 crit. Now this could be split into 2 separate upgrades. I will check at the end after I just show you a clip of how the passives work. But it's going to be a crit increase, and this is going to help because she's obviously going to get crit potential with her rush, signature move, basic attacks. But if you are going to hold a rampage weapon, that's going to increase the likeliness of the rampage actually happening. So obviously increasing her potential damage output against the entire enemy team. So very, very useful for her. I think it's probably the best one she could have had. She could have had like crit multiplier instead, but I think crit is actually much more effective for a tough damage dealer. The last one is called Fear of Death. When performing the Decap specialist skill, one enemy gets minus 20% defense for 1 turn. So this is kind of strange. This is a bit more of a support role thing, but it will work if she takes out an enemy, and then she would obviously go on to the next enemy. So if there's 2 enemies alive and she takes out one with her rush with the first attack, the other one will get minus 20% defense, and when she goes on with that second hit, she will be able to do bonus damage there. Or of course, like, you could potentially take out someone turn 2 with her signature move, and the follow-up damage from another damage dealer can focus the person who got minus 20% defense, and that just gives you an increased chance of taking down a second character early on. Okay, so here we are on turn 2, and obviously the combo with Aiko and Ash is going to be quite useful again, where I can just do defense down from Aiko, and then I can actually do the signature move from Ash. It is actually going to rampage, so it's going to hit multiple characters, and you can see the person it hit with the defense down is going to be Alice, but it actually does it per takedown. So you can see she took down 2, and then 2 characters, both Jessie and Alice, have got the defense down. So it's per takedown that gets decapped. So if you have the follow-up damage right now, instead of Michonne, you had someone like Sandy. Sandy's signature move could go off right now, and there's 2 characters minus 20% defense, and that's going to be very, very handy. And I think that Ash has some really nice combos, especially like I said with Aiko. That seems to be quite a nice combo, just because you can do the defense down and guarantee a kill a bit more, or at least more likely to guarantee a kill. The only downside of the Decap when it comes to her passives is she has to get the final hit. So if you do like 99% of however much HP a character's got, and someone else has to do that little 1% at the end, then it doesn't actually count. You know, she has to get the final hit, which is always the downside. But if she does get the final hit, you're going to get that minus 20% defense for each takedown. As we saw, multiple takedowns, multiple defense downs. If we look at the upgrades at grade 1, she gets Unshakable, which is the 30% resistance to stun. She gets the first agility at grade 2. At grade 3, it's actually a full upgrade for 40 crit. So for each level of the upgrade here, you will get 2 crit bonuses. You know, that's not too bad. For grade 5, it is going to be the Fear of Death for the every time you get a decap, minus 20% defense for 1 turn. And then at Limit Break 1, you can see Agility 2 comes in. I haven't upgraded this, but this would stack with the Agility 1. So it'll go from 10% increase in basic attack damage to 20%. Now Ash here has a specialist skill, of course, and it has been pretty obvious in the previous clips because it's been going off quite a lot. It works into the rest of her kit when it comes to her passives. It is Decap. When this character lands the killing blow on an enemy, that enemy cannot be revived. It's pretty straightforward. There are the downsides of it, like I said before, where they have to actually get that last hit in, and it can obviously be blocked by certain other specialist skills. For instance, you know, Tenacity on Jessie can block it. So there is the downside there, but it is extremely powerful. She has got a very heavy hitting kit, so she is likely to take out characters. She can hold one of the most offensive weapons in the game, which is the double attack rampage weapon. So she's obviously going to be able to hit higher potential than most other characters in other traits would, you know, if they had the same kit. And as you saw, if those rampage attacks do take someone down, it does count as a decap, and it will obviously proc part of her kit when it comes to her passive. So very powerful specialist skill, one of the top tier ones for sure. Now she does not have an attached weapon, as I did show in the intro to the video. Now I would say when it comes to the weapon you want to put in her hands, you can put in her hands a 20% AP to self weapon, or a double attack weapon, that's pretty much your main choice. But I would say Rampage is a must, just because, like I said, it can work with her signature move, it can work with her rush, it can work with her basic attacks. It's going to give her the best attack output, so it's a must-have weapon for her for sure. And I think the majority of people who have been playing the game since, S-Class, because, characters like Priya, that is sort of same sort of situation where it was a must-have in Priya's hands, Ash is a must-have in her hands to get the best out of her offensively. In terms of if you were to use her on a defense team, I don't know. I don't think she's really going to have a chance on a defense team. Her base stats are a bit low. She's got nothing on her kit really to give her a chance. I mean, she does have quite a lot of resists, but in terms of surviving pure damage, I'd say it's a no-no. So this is definitely a pure attack character coming out, kind of like how Michonne was mainly a pure attack character in the past. So that is Mythic Ash, and she is, like I said, going to be the next promo character coming to the RTS. I think she is really good. I think she is obviously really good. She's more focused damage, not random damage like Princess, and you're going to be able to guarantee who those hits go to. So, and then if they get taken out, they are gone. They're gone for good because they're going to be decapped. So, very powerful kit indeed. I think with the right combinations with other characters could be extremely potent. Defense down. You've got Mirabelle who can go off quite quickly too. And the combination between these two characters, because obviously defense down will work with her Rampage. So, if you have a 14 defense down, then she does hit a Rampage on her rush. Extra damage everywhere. So the combination between those two characters, I think, is going to be great. And I think a lot of people would have got their hands on Mirabelle quite recently, especially people who are probably going to be pulling for Ash in with large amounts of pulls, let's say. I do think it's worth limit breaking this character if you were to go all out, just because of the fact that she is going to get agility too, and that is very important to get the best out of her damage output. And obviously her stats are going to be much higher if she is limit broken versus like a grade 4 or a grade 5. But like I said, she is the next promo to come to the game, guys. Do leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you happy to see a story character that we've seen in the past come into the game? I know a lot of people have their eyes on certain story characters, some very certain story characters. We'll have to wait and see if any others come out in the future. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.